No, I mean, just try it and go for it, right? Like, I think that we have a lot of good conditions at the moment in the startup Spanish ecosystem, like South Summit and IE are doing an amazing job. So I would suggest, of course, if you have like super clear that you have the idea and you have the right skills and it's the perfect timing to try to do it, maybe jump into it, but otherwise I would advise to join a startup or a scale-up and try to learn as much as possible. If you need to make a big decision, try to speak to 2 or 3 people that went through that decision in the past to kind of double-check whether the route that you're taking is the right one. So try to look for partners, try to look for co-founders, because this is hard enough and to do it yourself.
Welcome to the Internet University's Entrepreneurship Podcast. I am Valeria, a BBA student at IE, and I will be your host for this episode. Today, I'm very excited to share that I'm with Nico de Luis, the founder, co-founder, and CEO at Shakers. He will be helping us to delve into the entrepreneurial journey and in the field of HR and talent acquisition. So, Nico, you were an investor, a mentor, and now an entrepreneur. Can you tell us a bit more about your background and your experience in these 3 fields?
Right, for sure. It's funny that you put it that way, because I think that like investor is kind of the thing that I see the latest in my life. We're actually starting to try to get a little bit more active in that sense with my co-founders. We're starting to look at different opportunities to support as well the people that is just starting. But yeah, I actually started by doing a little bit of banking and consulting, but I realized super early that wasn't for me, so I jumped straight into the entrepreneurial ecosystem. I started doing that in Berlin almost like 15 years ago. So.
And can you tell us a little bit more about your company? What does it do? When did you found it?
Exactly. So Shakers, we're a marketplace, a platform that connects a community of tech talent. So we have around 3,000 tech freelancers, so anything from development to data, product. We're doing a lot of artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, online marketing. And we connect them with projects that we find super exciting for them. So we are talent first, so everything we do is for the talent, and then we connect them with companies as a team, so they can work on long-term projects with financial stability, but also with a lot of independence and flexibility.
Thank you. So now that we've covered a little bit of your background and your startup, I'm going to ask you the question that we ask all of our guests that join our podcast. What motivates you to wake up in the morning?
No, I mean, it's a good one. Right now, we're like in this crazy roller coaster moment, because everything that we're doing, for some reason, it's kind of working out. So I'm not sleeping that much. I go to bed quite late at night, and then I'm like already wake up super energized to get to the office. We're 50 people now. The average is 27 years old, so you can imagine, right? That we have a lot of people that for them it's their first job, and they just come to the office, and the energy that they have is contagious, and they just want to spend time with you and with my other 3 co-founders and ask us questions, get involved in projects with them. So just seeing like the smile in their faces is, I mean, it's amazing. So.
And what inspired you to start Shakers? What problem did you see?
Right. So, I mean, it's something that was somehow like a combination of like a perfect timing. Like I was in Valencia with my other 3 co-founders. One of them, Jaime, I know him since we're like 5 years old, so we have a lot of history together. But Hector and Adri, it was kind of that we fell in love, like professionally speaking, and we ended up living all together in Valencia. So sharing a lot of time, getting to know each other. And we really saw that there was like a trend that was changing the way that people were relating to their jobs. They weren't necessarily looking for a career at the same company for the next 10 years. They just wanted to get involved in a project that they really felt that was highly motivating, working alongside really good people, and then eventually moving on to the next team, right? So we saw this trend, and we saw that the market opportunity was huge. All of us have previous entrepreneurial experience, so we have had like a lot of failures as well, or learnings, depending on how you want to put it. What we do is that we try not to take only into account the professional or the technical skills, but also the motivation and the values. So we ask them a bunch of questions. We have like a personality test that we put together because he's a psychologist as well. And we try to understand what is going to drive you when choosing a new project, and not only your past story, right? Because sometimes we see that someone that worked in banking in the past, if we were using another type of algorithm, we would connect them only with projects that were around banking. But in our case, maybe you left banking because you want to work in startups and you want to do something around sports or something. So we try to capture this information in order to connect them with projects that they look forward in the future, not only based on the previous history.
And what are some of the biggest challenges that you face in the digital hiring ecosystem?
I mean, in the digital hiring, there are a bunch of challenges. In our normal life, I would say focus, because like it's such a big market, and we're trying to do different things. We're doing some stuff around fintech, for example, because we advance the payments to the freelancers when corporates take a little bit of time to pay this. We just joined an innovation program at the European level with Visa, and we're working with a lot of banks and other fintech companies. So that's super interesting, but it's not the core of our business our day. So we just try to, we need to try to allocate the right time to these future bets. I think that like in digital hiring in general, one of the biggest challenges that companies are facing is retention, right? So this is something that we try to solve by aligning the expectations between two parties. So because we work at the project level, we set the right milestones and the right duration. So it's not that you're gonna have to keep that relationship forever, because you don't know if you're gonna need that type of professional, or you don't know if the professional is gonna stay motivated forever with that company. So we try to align this, and we say, okay, so I need like a super experienced data scientist that is gonna be supporting my core team for 3 months. Then like there's no mismatch, right? Because like the person that accepts that project is gonna be there for 3 months for sure. Is gonna be fully committed, because there's a lot of personal branding as well associated with this type of professionals. The average number of years of experience is 9, so it's fairly senior people, and they really want to make sure that they get like good reviews and that their former clients stay happy and refer them. So yeah, normally like the customer satisfaction is of the roof.
This question is a little bit more broad, but how do you see the industry of HR evolving in the future?
I think that we've been hiring the same way for I don't know how many years, and it's super frustrating, right? Like for the HR professionals that we work with, we spend a lot of time talking to them and understanding their pains, and every time that they post a job offer, like they get like hundreds of applicants. They have no proper ways to understand whether they're actually good or not, and like whether the fit is there. So they just need to keep on like screening CVs and organizing interviews. It takes a lot of time, and then eventually the people that you hire, 3 months later they leave you, right? And that's super expensive. So we're trying to solve all these pains. I think that there's a huge opportunity as well with remote work, because you don't need to be bound to a specific location, and you can actually hire anywhere. Whether it is at the national level or at a global level. We have a lot of people from anywhere in the world which are actually based in Spain. And yeah, they just work for Spanish companies, but like they're from the UK or they're German, and they're super happy, right?
And what role will Shakers play in the future?
We're super ambitious, so we just keep on. We just want to keep on growing in terms of the amount of clients we work with, also the size of the community. At the moment, we're trying to keep it rather small in order to make sure that we give them a lot of work. We have over 7,000 people in waitlist at the moment, so we're trying to come up with ways to be a little bit faster and have more projects in the platform. But we see ourselves as at the house of the talent in a way, right? So we want to be close to them when it comes to the payments and making sure that they receive this on a timely manner. We're also trying to understand whether freelancers can access mortgages and other banking products with a different risk model, right? Because every time they try to buy a house, the mortgage may be rejected just because they don't have like a proper payroll, right, on a more traditional sense. And we also want to make sure that they can work as a team, right? Because one of the things that they keep on telling us is that they feel super lonely, right? When you are a freelancer, you're working by yourself all the time at home, and we want to also find ways to work on that sense of belonging. Yeah,
that's amazing. I hope you're doing good. And going into another direction, I think this is a little valuable for current entrepreneurs. How did you manage to get the investment? Like, what were the core focus of it?
We have a way to deal with investors, which is a little bit different. I believe we really want to make sure that we spend as much time as possible, and we get to know them at a different level, right? Because you're kind of getting married to them, and it's like a long-term relationship that you're getting into. And this idea of just going through a technical due diligence and convince them to give you the money it's not enough, right? Because then they're gonna be in your cap table, and you're gonna have to be facing difficult situations. So we do a lot of research beforehand. I think that it's super important to make sure that the people that you're trying to reach out to actually invest in that particular vertical that you're working on. So the conviction about the market and the overall trends is already there, right? So you don't need to convince them that people working remotely is something that is okay. That needs to be there already, right? And then you can build up, and you can talk about the vision, and you can get to know them, and you can really try to understand if you're aligned or not. Also, I think that understanding whether they like the particular business model, in our case, is a marketplace. So we charge take rate on the overall project, but we're not a SaaS, right? So some of the investors that we were talking to at the beginning, they were used to investing in SaaS models, so the kind of metrics that they were looking at weren't the ones that we were reporting on. And it was super frustrating every time that we went into a meeting with this type of investors, because we weren't speaking the same language, right? And when we realized that focusing about the business model was important, we managed to get the Vinta Ventures, which is one of the biggest marketplace investors in Europe. They're the owners of InfoJobs, Fotocasa, Coches.net, so they've been aggregating marketplaces for a while, and we just speak the same language, right? And the kind of things that we care about and the levers that we see in the business, they have experience on, and they get them. So I would say that that's important as well. Also, depending on the stage, right? If you are super early, I think that it's important to go to the investment forums that places such as IE would put together, because you would see scouts, but also business angels, which are really important. In our case, one of the first people that we managed to convince to invest in Shakers was Hilario Albarracin, which was the former chairman of KPMG in Spain. And one of the things that he was seeing, and he had been working in consulting for his life, and he was the top person of KPMG, that it's really, really cool company, that the trends were changing, right? And that it wasn't that easy for them to attract the talent the same way that they have been doing it in the past. So he saw us as a way to disrupt that and find other ways to connect talent with companies. And I think that having his name and his support, his network as well, was super valuable getting to other people at first. But I think that it's a matter of showing up, right? Going to every single event that you can, be involved, not being afraid to just knock on the door. If you can sneak into an event that you don't have a ticket for, just do it. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is that they would kick you out, right? But at least you tried, and they would see you trying. So we are really intense, and we do these kind of things.
And what do you think are some of the qualities that you have and your team have to be successful as an entrepreneur?
So in our case, I think that one of the keys to success, if you want to call it that way, is that we are 4 co-founders, and we're super complementary to each other, right? We have really different ways of seeing things and life. We're really connected at the core values level, I would say. We all want to build the same type of company, and when difficult times come, we always find a way to reconnect. But for example, Adri, which is our CPO, he's an engineer. He's super technical. He's the one leading the product team. He's always thinking about streamlining stuff and making sure that we do things that scale and like testing and running hypotheses and putting together MVPs before investing money, while Jaime, which is the chief growth officer, like he's super good in terms of marketing and driving growth altogether, and he's like just I don't know, like he's really powerful, and like you get to see him. We have a podcast as well. You should listen to that. He's the one hosting it, and it's incredible, right? Like the way that.
But what's the name of the podcast?
Charlando con Shakers.
Okay.
Yeah. You need to look for that one. He's super good. So he's super into marketing, growth hacking, and whatnot. And then Hector, which is our CEO, he like really cares about the detail, making sure that every team stays aligned, that we're always like pushing to the next level, that the metrics are well organized, that we're doing a good reporting to our investors, which is something that they always tell us that they value about us. That even though like we are messy in the way that we try everything, like we are really well structured. Like our reporting is pretty neat. And the fact that we're not afraid about asking for help, right? I think that also something that we do fairly well is that we use our own model internally, which is every time that we understand that there's an area that we don't know that much about, we look for a freelance, an expert, and we get like a few hours from him just to learn everything we can, and then we try to apply it, right? Rather than just hire like a VP of sales to do the work for us, we try to find like someone that has been doing that before. We get like 10 hours out of him, we squeeze him as much as we can, and then we try to do it ourselves. Yeah.
And I mentioned success before because you won in your category in the Self Summit in 2024. Congratulations for that. How are you feeling?
No, I mean, it was amazing. The thing is that we have been prepping for it quite a lot ever since the application opened. So I don't know, like the amount of times that we just went into the form up until the day where like the deadline was to actually submit it, which was the thing that made us make it to the top 100 startups. Like when we knew that, like we celebrated that a lot within the office. Like the team has been feeling super involved. I think that like the weeks prior to the event, everybody was posting out of their personal LinkedIns and sharing how they were feeling about the competition, why we should be winning the category. And the thing is that this category was super important for us because it's talent and future of work. It's the first time that they had this category at South Summit, and it's exactly the way that we feel about what we're trying to improve and to change, right? So I think that, yeah, it was kind of important for us. So super happy.
So thank you for that. Now we're going to go to another section of the podcast that is called Entrepreneurs Inbox, in which we receive questions from students and our listeners, so we can ask to you. The first one is, what advice would you give to entrepreneurs who want to start in the HR and talent acquisition industry?
So, I mean, I don't like that much giving tips, but I feel comfortable talking about my own experience, right? What I did when I saw that banking and consulting wasn't for me, I joined a company which is called Rocket Internet a while ago in Berlin, and I went to a place which was kind of like a startup factory, right? So it was a place where they were creating new businesses almost on a monthly basis. They were actually taking business models that were working in the States or the UK, and they were trying to put them together and launch them in other parts of the world. So I joined this team, and we started when we were 10. We got to be, in my project, in my venture, we got to be 300 people. We opened 14 countries in like 12 months. We raised a lot of money. So with 21, 22 years old, I had like a full team, a budget. I was able to try stuff, but it wasn't my own money, and it was just like learning out of the founders. So I tried to concentrate as much learning as possible during this time, and it's something that helped me a lot when I tried to start my own business, right? So I would suggest, I mean, of course, if you have like super clear that you have the idea and you have the right skills, and it's the perfect timing to try to do it. Maybe jump into it, but otherwise I would advise to join a startup or a scale-up and try to learn as much as possible. At Shakers, we have a lot of people that we know that are with us on a temporary basis, and it's something that I'm super proud of because they're all builders, right? Like they're with us, they want to learn, but you can see in their eyes that they want to have their own baby as soon as possible, right? So eventually we will have a Shakers Mafia in the future if everything goes well. Yeah.
And the second one is, what are some of the biggest lessons that you have taken as an entrepreneur and founder of Shakers?
Yeah, it's a good one. I think that like there is always this combination of like trying to be bold and like try out stuff, but also kind of reflect on things. And if you need to make a big decision, try to speak to 2 or 3 people that went through that decision in the past to kind of double check whether the route that you're taking is the right one. I think that there is amazing people in Spain at the moment that has a lot of experience, and mentors and like successful entrepreneurs. They're always ready to spare 5-10 minutes, even half an hour, just to grab a coffee and tell you like how things work for them. So I would use that for sure. I do ask for a lot of virtual coffees all the time, and I just like try to find the time to have them. Like we invite a lot of people over to the office. I would also say that like it's important to understand that things, if you can share them and if you can find people to share the burden or the success with, like it's much better than doing things by yourself. Like I've been working on a more lonely basis in the past, and compared to now, it's just like super different. So even if you need to reduce the amount of equity that you get, or like the profits or the salary that you're able to pay you, is gonna be a little bit less, I think it's worth it. So try to look for partners, try to look for co-founders, because this is hard enough and to do it yourself. So yeah, definitely share it if you can.
So Nico, before we close, is there anything that you would like to share with the audience?
No, I mean, just try it and go for it, right? Like I think that we have a lot of good conditions at the moment in the startup Spanish ecosystem. Like South Summit and IE are doing an amazing job for this. Like you can really see the difference from 10 years ago. I've lived in London, in Berlin, in Paris, in China as well. And like back in the day, it wasn't that easy as it is now to go to an event where like a founder is sharing their experience, to go online and watch videos, like watch other podcasts that people are kind enough to share their experience. Like that didn't exist, right? And these days, like there is so much content, like so many things that you can do in order to have like more support. Also, I think that like from the public side, there is a lot of programs which are amazing. Like we work a lot with ISEX. We've been with them in San Francisco. We've been with them in Berlin, Helsinki, at Slash. So do look for these programs because they're super cool. Also, Enisa is doing a really good job, like giving loans to startups which are just getting started without asking for a warranty, which is super important because normally you're broke when you're trying to do these things already, so you don't have anything to put against that loan. So yeah, just look for these options as well, right? Don't think that you just need to do things by yourself. Looking for private options, look for the, public money as well, because there are so many European funds at the moment that we should be using them. Yeah.
So thank you, Nico, so much for joining us today.
Sure.
I think everyone will find all these insights very fascinating. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. You can find us in all the platforms. And don't forget to subscribe to listen to more amazing episodes. Thank you.
Thank you.